I'm Roman Yossi of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Matt Duchesne of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Justus Aros of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Ryan Johansson of the Nashville Predators.
You're listening to the Renegades of Puck
with Crazy Charlie.
Welcome to the bunker. Welcome to the Renegades of Puck podcast. I'm your host and captain, Crazy Charlie Saunier. And before we get to the No Half Step in Hockey coverage, let me direct you to our home website, renegadesofpuck.com. Once you go to renegadesofpuck.com, you'll learn everything you need to know about the show. And once you're good and educated about the show, you can click on that merchandise tab. That's going to take you straight to our classic logo t-shirt, our pride logo t-shirt, our special event tees, and so much more. All the classic gimmicks you've come to know and love and expect from the Renegades of Puck are all still available in our online store. Socks, throw pillows, wall art, bed sets, and so much more. After all, we've sold out so that you can buy in. Social media is of critical importance to this independent hockey operation, so listen up, Renegades. Here's how you can help us out and give us a little bit of support. Please go to Facebook, go to Twitter, go to Instagram, or go to TikTok. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscription. You can go to YouTube. That's where you can find Renegades of Puck TV. You can give us a subscription there, and we sure to appreciate all of our brand new subscribers on YouTube. Make sure you turn on those notification buttons. You can also find the audio podcast in numerous different places. Please just search Renegades of Puck in your preferred platform, or check out a couple of these different examples: Google, Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon. We are on all of those different platforms and several others thanks to the Full Press NHL network. More Renegades are hearing the show than ever before thanks to Full Press coverage. Stick taps, love, and respect to everybody behind the scenes doing the work and helping us get the numbers. Venmo is how you can help this show out by becoming a sponsor, or if you would like, just make a financial donation. Just scan the QR code currently on your screen or search Renegades of Puck on Venmo. Thanks to generous Renegades just like you watching and viewing right now, we've been able to make significant upgrades over the last calendar year here throughout the bunker, and as we enter the summer season, we would like to start making some more upgrades. So please, even $1 goes a long way to helping an independent hockey operation, and it sure does mean a lot to have the support of each and every one of you out there. So again, stick taps, love, and respect to each and every one of you for supporting this independent hockey operation known as the Renegades of Puck. Now, listen, I know it's time for No Half Step in Hockey coverage, so let me deliver the goods. It's time for operation number 755. That is right, time for show number 755. And at this moment in hockey history, well, the Milwaukee Admirals have their backs against the wall, and they're going to need a back-to-back in order to make it out of the second round against the Manitoba Moose in the Calder Cup playoffs. Let me update you on the series, and then we'll begin to talk about it. It was in Game 1 where Milwaukee had a 6-2 blowout over the Manitoba Moose, take a 1-0 lead in the series. That was last Friday, and then on Sunday, came back in Manitoba, and it was a 3-2 victory for the Moose on home ice in overtime, making the series 1-1. Series shifted back to Milwaukee for earlier this evening, and it was, in fact, the Manitoba Moose securing the victory 3-2 in overtime yet again to take a 2-1 lead in the best of 5 series. That means the Milwaukee Admirals are having their backs against the wall now. On Friday night, the Milwaukee Admirals could face elimination if they are able to secure victory in Game 4 and force a Game 5. That game would take place on Saturday. Both of these games, of course, will take place in Milwaukee, so home ice still in favor of the Milwaukee Admirals, but the advantage in the series now goes to the Manitoba Moose. 2-1 now, leading the best of 5 second round series. Quick update on the rest of the Calder Cup playoff bracket. We have our first team through to the next round, and it is in fact the Texas Stars beating Rockford, sweeping them 3-0 in their best of 5 series. Let's just continue on with that bracket. It is Manitoba leading Milwaukee 2-1, and Game 4 will be on Friday night. At this moment, Calgary leads Abbotsford 2-0 in their series, and it is Colorado leading Coachella 2-1 in their best of 5 series. Over on the eastern side of the bracket, it is Hartford leading Providence 2-1 in their best of 5 series. It is the Hershey Bears leading the Charlotte Checkers 2-1 in their best of 5 series. Toronto over Utica 2-1 in that series, and Syracuse and Rochester are tied at 2 apiece with a pivotal Game 5 coming up in that series. Now, taking a look at the series as it is between the Milwaukee Admirals and the Manitoba Moose, well, that means we've got to go back and we've got to recap everything that happened in Game 3. It's called the Rebirth Sports Full Game Recap, and it's coming up next right here on the Renegades of Puck podcast.
Hockey players are as unique as the game itself, and your uniform should be tailored to fit you. Rebirth Sports is your sports apparel tailor. From shells, bags, warm-ups, hats, hoodies, branding, and more, let Rebirth Sports be your custom hockey tailor.
And don't forget to tell them they do more than just hockey.
Rebirth Sports on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Rebirth Sport, a match made in hockey.
It's now time for the Rebirth Sports Full Game Recap. We go all the way back to May 3rd of the year 2023 when the Milwaukee Admirals were hosting the Manitoba Moose in Game 3 of their best-of-5 series in the Calder Cup Playoffs Round 2. Carl Taylor would deploy his forwards in no particular order. Here's the grouping: Sherwood, Sanford, and Evangelista; Schneider, Jankowski, and Tomasino; Ratcliffe, Huntington, and Leonard; Afanaseyev, Angelo, and Kemmel make up your forward grouping. Your defensive grouping is Delgaizo and McEwen, Gravel and Stastny, Gross and Wilsby, and in net is Yaroslav Askarov. We are 2:33 into the first period. Now a best-of-3 series with the teams being tied at 1 apiece. And the 2:23 mark of the first period is going to be Angelo and Jones each off to the box, 2 minutes for roughing. That would lead to a 4-on-4 scenario early on in the game. And on the first shot of the game, it would be a breakaway. Askarov comes way out of the net, makes a mistake, and it's an easy tuck-in for Limoges after the Afanaseyev turnover out there in the neutral zone. Everything that could possibly go wrong for the Milwaukee Admirals on this play did, in fact, go wrong. It's the Manitoba Moose securing a 1-0 victory in this pivotal Game 3. We are 4:17 into the first period, and Salmonen comes up with a save on Jankowski. It's the first shot on goal for the Milwaukee Admirals at 4:53 of the first period. Angelo's off to the box for the second time already in this period. 2 minutes for hooking. Askarov comes up with 3 total saves in the shorthanded scenario. At 8:33 of the first period, Chisholm would be off the box. 2 minutes for tripping, giving Milwaukee their first opportunity on the power play. It would be Salmonen coming in with a save on Tomasino, and Salmonen then coming in with a save on Kemmel. Lots of good pressure, numerous shot attempts and shots on net during this power play. Admirals look very strong over this 2 minutes, but could not convert. 10:24 of the first period. Salmonen comes up with a save on Jankowski. 11:53. Heinola's off to the box. 2 minutes for boarding. Admirals looking to bring that best power play in the AHL back onto the ice, but unfortunately it's sloppy, choppy, and ugly, and you can add whatever other nasty descriptors you want to it because the Admirals didn't generate a single shot on goal over the course of this power play. And seriously, they had trouble getting out of their own zone. They had trouble getting the puck into the offensive zone. They had trouble all over the ice for a solid 2 minutes. We go to the 16:06 mark of the first period, and that's when Luke Evangelista is getting the Milwaukee Admirals on the board, tying the game up at 1 apiece. His second goal of the playoffs. It was a perfect deflection in the low slot of Sherwood's long shot. Just great hand-eye coordination right here by Luke Evangelista. Ties the game up at 1 apiece. 16:06 in the first period. At 19:59 of the first period, Askarov comes up with a save on Chisholm just before the buzzer. It would have counted if it had found its way in. At the end of the first period, Admirals out shooting the Moose 10-7, 1-1 hockey game, 1-1 best-of-5 series. 2:16 into the second period, and it's Angelo off the box, 2 minutes for holding his third minor penalty in just 22 minutes and 16 seconds of time on ice in this game. Salmonen does have to come up with a shorthanded save on Leonard. Then Salmonen also has to come up with a shorthanded save on Wilsby. As a matter of fact, the PK was so good for the Milwaukee Admirals, they didn't give up any shots against, and they had 2 shots on goal and 2 good shots, 2 good scoring chances of their own. We go all the way to 8:19 of the second period, and Askarov comes up with a save on Gavanka at close range. 8:48, Askarov comes up with a save on Nick Niskanen, and plus his follow-up rebound opportunity. 9:39, Askarov, another save on play, and then at 9:57, it is Malat breaking through with his first goal of the playoffs to give the Manitoba Moose a 2-1 lead. It was a lot of jam, and there was a lot of heavy traffic. As a matter of fact, there was so much traffic, one of the Moose players deposited himself into the net, and that's how the puck somehow found its way across the goal line, is when that was all happening. Not reviewable. If this had been reviewable, I think that this goal perhaps would have been overturned. I don't think this was a clean goal. It ends up being ruled a clean goal, and we will move on with that assessment and judgment because we are not the official crew for the game. But in our opinion here in the bunker, we felt if that had a potential to be reviewed, that goal would have been taken off of the board because of everything that was going on inside of the net for the Milwaukee Admirals. 2-1 in favor of the Moose. Back to the play-by-play. 12:39 of the second period. Salmonen comes with a save on Leonard as the Admirals look to make a push here towards the end of the second period. 15 minutes in. Salmonen comes up with a save on Gross. 16-13. Salmonen a save on Sherwood. 17-16. Scaroff back to work, coming with a save on Meyer. Heavy traffic and jam right in front of him, able to track that puck and hang on to it. 18:53. Malott off to the box. 2 minutes for roughing on Sanford in the offensive zone. A really, really bad penalty to take here towards the end of the second period. Unfortunately for the Milwaukee Admirals, this power play looked a lot like the previous one, and by that I mean absolutely nothing happening. There was even a carryover into the third period, and nothing happened there. So I'm just going to go ahead and sum up the entire power play right here. Nothing. Matter of fact, the shots on goal at the end of the second period, 16-16. The Admirals found themselves down 2-1, and just honestly, not an inspiring period of hockey from the Milwaukee Admirals on their own home ice. They are capable of significantly better play than this. We go to the clean sheet, and we go back to 5-on-5 hockey at 1:08 the third period, and that's when Salmonen's coming up with a save on Schneider. 1:44. Afanasyev and Bongiovanni are off the box, 2 minutes each for roughing. 4-on-4 scenario. Salmonen would have to come up with a save on Jankowski during this special team situation. At 6:10 of the third period, it is Gravel, his first goal of the playoffs. It comes after an intense scramble. Kemmel is able to get the puck out of the scramble, holds, delays, uses otherworldly patience for the age and experience that he has at this point in his career, makes the pass across Gravel, and Gravel also shows some great patience, puts the long shot on net through the scrambling players, through the traffic, and it finds its way into the back of the net. But again, intense, great work here by everybody involving this scramble. The Manitoba Moose 2, the Milwaukee Admirals now 2 in the third period. 7:46 of the third period. Scarf comes with a save on Bongiovanni. 8:13. Scarf a save on Gavanke. At 10:05, Scarf another save on Meyer. This time coming at close range. 11:11. Salmonen comes up with a save on Schneider. 15:45. Askarov comes up with a save on Olini. 16:17. Askarov a save on Toninato. And we are just dealing with some intense playoff hockey right here, tied in the third period. We go to the final segment after the final TV timeout. 17:15 of the third period. Askarov comes with a save on Gavanke in close range again. 18:10. Askarov comes up with a save on Sautner. Man, when I see the name Sautner, it really makes me pause for just a second because it almost looks like my own name. How cool would that be? The rebound misses, open net. They cannot convert right here, but 10. Scary opportunity against the Admirals right here. 19:21. Gavanke hits the crossbar. Another near miss for the Manitoba Moose down the stretch of this game. The Milwaukee Admirals quite on their heels as we hit the end of regulation. As a matter of fact, the Manitoba Moose end up out shooting the Milwaukee Admirals for regulation 27-25 overall, and we're definitely the better team in the third period, even though the Admirals tied the game up. We get a clean sheet after a full intermission, and we hit the overtime session. We're 2:08 into the OT, and it's already longer than the previous game's overtime session, and the Admirals have already gotten the puck out of their zone, which is something they could not do in the previous game. 2:08 into the overtime, and it's Askarov coming over the save on Nikkanen from the low circle, but at 3:16 of the first overtime, Gross would pick up a penalty, 2 minutes for high sticking. Askarov would come up with a save on Toninato, but Bongiovanni would come up with a wrist shot from the left circle. There was no traffic and no screen, and it looked like a rather ordinary wrist shot, but it beats Askarov, and that's the game winner for the Manitoba Moose. 3-2 is your final in overtime for the second game in a row. Manitoba ends up out shooting the Milwaukee Admirals 30-26 for the entire game. 3 shots on goal for Manitoba in the overtime session, 1 shot on goal for the Admirals in the overtime session. Askarov gives up a weak goal in overtime, makes a mistake on the breakaway early in the game, and the Admirals find themselves down 2-1 in the series with their backs against the wall, needing now to force and win back-to-back games this Friday and Saturday night on home ice. Disappointing overall. We've got a lot to break down, a lot to talk about. We've got to get into the box score, the stats, some analysis, opinions, all of that coming up next right here on the Renegades of Puck podcast. That was the Rebirth Sports Full Game Recap.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm Tracy, owner-operator of Strong Style Fitness. And that's me and my training assistant, Rizzo. And we are here to bring you fitness that meets you where you are by offering circuit classes, bar-inspired classes, Tabata workouts, boot camps, guided stretching, and more, all taught by a certified personal trainer, me. To learn more, go to our website, strongstylefit.com. Subscribe on YouTube at Strong Style Fitness. Follow on social media at Strong Style Fit. But most importantly, let's get you moving. It doesn't matter if it's your first workout or you've been doing it for years. Strong Style Fitness has the workout that meets you on your journey and helps you along the path to a happier, healthier life. I understand where you've been, what you were going through, and where you were going, and I want to take you there. We'll see you on the mat. Mwah.
You know it's not good when I've already turned and started drinking out of the coffee mug, so let's get into the analysis portion of the show right here. Welcome back to the Renegades of Puck podcast. I'm your host and Captain Crazy Charlie Saunier. Thank you so much for joining me here live from the bunker. Let's talk about Askarov. Askarov in this game, 27 of 30. He wasn't great overall. You know that. You watch the game. Too far out on the breakaway. Yes, sometimes goaltenders make those risky reaches, and it can pay off. This didn't even come close to paying off. All it did was take him out of position completely and allow for an easy tuck-in goal. Now, he wasn't the sole one responsible for making a mistake on that first goal of the game in the breakaway. It was a abysmal play all the way around by the entirety of the team here on this play. But Askarov found himself way too far out of the net on this one. And I just got to say it, absolutely WTF. I'm going to be clean about it on this particular time, but what happened on that overtime goal? The more angles you look at and the more different things you look at going on around the zone, there's a clear shot lane. There is no traffic. The defense is doing a good job of boxing out. It is not a particularly hard shot. It is not a particularly accurate shot. It didn't kiss the upper 90 and in. Askarov just frankly missed this one in overtime, and you could tell by the reaction of Aaron Sims as soon as the broadcast ended. He knew it. Everybody knew it. Askarov missed one here in this one. Now, the series is not on his shoulders exclusively. He is performing at an overall decent level, but this was not Askarov's game. 72 out of 78 in the series, a 2.23 goals against, averaging .923 save percentage. Listen, 2.23, .923, both of those numbers, very reasonable, very respectable. The offense in front of him has dried up, but you cannot give him a pass on the red line goal in game one, the moving away from the post as early as he did in game two, and now seemingly just missing a rather pedestrian, ordinary shot there in overtime in game three. Askarov has not had his best series. The numbers overall are okay, but he has certainly not had his best possible series. Now, let's talk about Luke Evangelista. He had a goal in this game. Nice job there, Luke. 2 goals, 3 assists in the series. That's 5 points now in the series. And he's having a strong series overall. Looks good on the puck. Looks strong. He's playing the physical game that we've come to know and expect from Luke Evangelista. And honestly, I think that he could even pick up another level and go another gear, but he's performing as well as anyone else on the team. He is tied for the team lead in scoring with 5 points with Gross. And again, 5 points, 1 goal in this game. And let's talk about Gravel. Picked up the game-tying goal in the third period. And patience. I talked about during the full game recap there, the patience during that scramble. That was wild. That scramble was going on for a solid 20 seconds. Multiple shots on net. Multiple players down in the crease area. Offensive, defensive, goaltender. Everybody scrambling all over the place to try to figure out what the hell was going on out there. And it was honestly Kemmel who was the one who figured it out. He slowed everything down by pulling that puck out to the top of the circle, delaying, making the pass across to Gravel at just the right moment. Gravel held for just a half second, which was also a high-quality hockey IQ play. And then he fired the puck. So again, great patience. It was a intense scrum and scramble, and there was a lot of pressure considering you're down 2-1 in the third period of a playoff game on home ice. So for both of those young players to perform at that level with that patience, that shows a lot of good high hockey IQ. So again, wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about that game-tying goal. I was very impressed with what I saw. Now, Gross is tied for the team lead in scoring with 5 points in the series. And you know what? The first two games played really well. And honestly, I'm not going to say he had a bad game, but I'm just going to say that the high sticking penalty, the careless use of the stick, and that's what it was. Careless use of the stick penalty in overtime. It just can't happen. It just can't happen. And he knows that. The coaching staff is going to reiterate that. And everybody knows that in overtime, they're going to call only what you force them to call in an overtime. And a high stick is one that they're going to call every single time. And it just can't happen. And the penalty kill, listen, the penalty kill had bailed the team out so far throughout the series without any problems. So 9 out of 10 now for the series. The PK finally cracked, unfortunately, at just the worst time for the Admirals. It happened there in overtime. Now, listen, this is something I definitely want to get into. I almost made a point of this after the second game, but I wanted to hold off and observe a little closer, maybe see if I was jumping to a conclusion or if I was maybe judging a little too harshly too soon. But after the third game now, the sample size is large enough that I am ready to critique, and I feel that I have enough evidence here, and it's Philip Tomasino. Where is Philip Tomasino? I thought Philip Tomasino was a player that was going to just thrive in this series. I have watched Philip Tomasino for the last 2 years very closely. I think he's a very good hockey player. I think he's good at attention to detail. Aside from having some difficulties on breakaways and finishing when he's all alone on an offensive opportunity, other than that, I think Philip Tomasino's game is rather incredible, and I had such high expectations for him coming back for this series. Now we're 3 games in. He doesn't have a single point, and honestly, his game is disappointing and ineffective. Again, I've covered him at multiple development camps. I've covered him at multiple regular camps. I've covered him here in Nashville with the Predators for parts of the last 2 seasons. And I'm not seeing anything out of Philip Tomasino that I have seen out of him previously. There's something not right. There has to be something going on outside of just not being able to produce. Perhaps an injury, perhaps something else. But that's my speculation on that. Is not going to get us anywhere. So the point is 0 points, 3 games, disappointing and ineffective, and he's only one of six Milwaukee Admirals skaters and defenders in the series to not have a single point. Philip Tomasino is better than this, and the Milwaukee Admirals will find themselves out of the playoffs on Friday night if Philip Tomasino doesn't find his game in Game 4 and then continue that on into Game 5 and far beyond if the Milwaukee Admirals have, frankly, any hope of making a run. And now this is another critique that just piggybacks off of the Tomasino point. Where's the offense? Listen, the first game was a blowout. 6 goals. They were up 3-0 in the first few minutes of the game, and they went on to win it as a bit of a laugher, took their foot off the gas, allowed the Manitoba Moose to get back in. The Manitoba Moose won that third period, and they've won the next 2 games afterwards. I told you don't take your foot off the gas in a series. You don't allow the opponent to get the momentum back. But let's break this down. Is it all Salminen? Is it all Salminen? Salminen came in Game 2, Game 3, came in relief in Game 1. Is it all been Salminen? This Milwaukee Admirals offense has only been able to generate 2 goals in the last 2 games on the season. They were 3.31 goals per game. That was 6th best in the AHL, and they are not clicking anything like that offensively right now. It's very unfortunate to see because Milwaukee Admirals 6th best offense in the league in goals for the best overall power play in the league. The power play was dominant in the first game of the series. As a matter of fact, the power play also converted in Game 2, but then the power play could not convert in this game, and that's one of the reasons the Milwaukee Admirals lost this game. So it's very disappointing to see that the offense has completely dried up with the number of significant, experienced players coming back from the Nashville Predators and now helping the Milwaukee Admirals, but not really helping very much in this particular game. The offense needs to pick it up. I think everybody understands this. Everybody knows this. And for the Milwaukee Admirals, if they don't come out with a whole different level of energy, compete level, and just willingness to go in there and go to battle, then they're going to find their season over with on Friday night. And the Stone Temple Pilots concert, unfortunately, is going to be the last thing that'll happen for the Milwaukee Admirals this season. So that is extremely disappointing to see Philip Tomasino and the offense drying up the way that it has. That's going to do it for the analysis portion of things. A lot of opinions there. We'll share the box score, we'll share the stats, and a whole lot more, and then we'll close the show out right here on the Renegades of Puck podcast. The digital environment can be quite intimidating, time-consuming, and cumbersome, especially with all those other areas that need attention at your business, and that's why Stripe Digital Solutions is here to help. I know, because that's exactly what Stripe Digital Solutions did for me and the Renegades of Puck. From designing my home website and helping me create my merchandise to special event posters, brand building, and social media management. But it's not just that, it's so much more. Stripe Digital Solutions has helped me every step of the way. From startup to full-time operation, Stripe Digital Solutions has been there to assist and advise every single step of the journey. In today's fast-paced world, the path to success is having a strong digital partner, and nobody is better in the trenches than Brandy and Stripe Digital Solutions. Get the solution before it's even a problem with Stripe Digital Solutions. When it comes to the box score, honestly, there's not a whole lot here to talk about. Of course, your goal scorers were Evangelista and Gravel, 2 goals total for the Milwaukee Admirals in this game. There were 4 total assists: Sanford, Cole Schneider, Joachim Kemmel, and also Kiefer Sherwood with assists in this game. Shots on goal, I felt the shots on goal rather low for this game. Huntington had 3, Leonard had 3, and Jankowski also had 3. And when it comes to Askarov in net, 27 out of 30 in 64-53 total time on ice. Just a couple other stats to give you. The shots on goal in this game were 30-26 in favor of Manitoba. Now, in the series, Manitoba is out shooting Milwaukee 101-82, and the special teams battle, which of course had been so in favor of the Milwaukee Admirals. Now the Admirals, after going 0 for 3 on the power play in this game, 3 of 9 in the series, and the Manitoba Moose, who had been 0 for 7 in the series on the power play, are now 1 for 10, with that one, of course, being a game-winning overtime goal. So that's basically going to do it for the box score. It's a fairly disappointing box score report. No advanced analytics, no stats, no Brian Baston tonight. No charts, no numbers, no none of that. Just time to move on to Game 4 and hopefully force a Game 5. The Milwaukee Admirals backs against the wall. They're going to have to make this thing happen. So let's go ahead and close this show out by starting right there. Their backs are against the wall right now for the Milwaukee Admirals. You've been one of the best teams in the AHL all season long. You have a premier roster full of prospects and a goaltender that is otherworldly. He may be having a couple of tough moments in the series, but overall, his numbers are good enough to be backstopping you to a series victory. The offense needs to pick it up. The Admirals need to take a quick second and take a look in the mirror and remember who they are as a hockey team and what they do. Perhaps the team is standing around waiting for some of the players that have returned from Nashville to take over and get the job done. It's not going to be Phil Tomasino. He has shown that through the first 3 games. Luke Evangelista, 5 points in the series so far. Perhaps it is going to be him going forward. But for the Admirals, they need to get back to playing basic, important hockey, being hard on the play and competing hard. What you're seeing out there on the ice right now is simply the Manitoba Moose are out playing the Milwaukee Admirals in all 3 zones. They're playing harder than them. They're competing harder than them. They're earning opportunities, and the Milwaukee Admirals aren't taking advantage when they have opportunities to do so. The Admirals have to come out and look totally different than they did tonight. I felt that they were not as energized as they should have been for Game 3, the first game in front of their home crowd. Now listen, this series went 5 games last year, and it was a comeback there at the end. So the Milwaukee Admirals looking to force a Game 5. They'll have to win on Friday night Askarov is going to have to come up with a better performance. The offense is going to have to show up, and the Milwaukee Admirals are going to have to find a way to beat and solve the problem that has suddenly become Salmonen in this series for the Manitoba Moose. Looking very much forward to watching and covering Game 4. We'll be here in the bunker Friday night, breaking it down, covering it, play-by-play stats, box score analysis, opinions, all of that good stuff. All the things you've come to know and love from the Renegades of Puck. Listen, just want to take a quick second to say I sure do appreciate each and every one of you converting over from the NHL and the Nashville Predators to Milwaukee Admirals. It was a natural progression for me and for the show to continue tracking all of these different prospects, but I didn't know how necessarily the audience would react. I just wanted to take a quick second and say thank you. The shows have been received very well. We've picked up, I think, many new listeners, and thanks to the support of the Full Press NHL Network, we have been able to get these prospect podcast shows. That's exactly how we are phrasing it amongst the office type stuff. We've been able to get these shows out there and in front of so many people. So thank you guys so much. We sure do appreciate all of the support. It means the world to me right here. So we will wrap it up by saying we appreciate your time. We appreciate your viewership, and we most definitely appreciate you. I'm your host and captain, Crazy Charlie Saunier. Stick taps, love, and respect.